Hello everyone. In the last session we talked about the DMAC principle, the DMAC framework, what are the 5 phases, what is the structured methodology, what is the discipline methodology that we have been talking about, the define, measure, analyze, improve and control. We talked about how we start from collecting the requirements, from measuring them, from prioritizing those requirements. We understand the current state of the process. We then try to find why there is a pain in the process, which is the root cause. Then we try to understand what are different solutions that we can bring in order to remove or in order to reduce the problem or the pain in the process. Then we build solutions, we build the sustainable solutions. So this is a DMAC principle or the structured methodology that we discussed in the previous session. Now, this entire methodology of the Six Sigma or the DMAC principle, which is about improving a process or improving a product quality, it revolves around a very common principle, or I will say a very simple equation, which is called as y equal to fx, that you can see on the screen here. We call it the key function or the key equation here. Now this problem solving methodology of DMAC, it focuses primarily on y equal to fx, where y is the output, is the outcome of a process. F is the function that we are performing, which is, or we can call it the process, while the x inside the y equal to fx that you see here, the x are inputs, multiple inputs required to perform a job. For example, we are in this session, we are recording a session, the session that you're seeing now. What I needed to do to get this session here, to get this live recording done, I needed a laptop, I needed a camera, I needed a mic, I needed a presentation, and then I needed someone to edit this entire thing. So multiple inputs were required to get this entire live session demo ready for all of you. So these are the inputs, and it all went through a process. And what is the final output? This session, which is there in front of you, the recording. So y is equal to fx. Now the end output is the session that you are watching right now is the y. If something is wrong with this y, if something is not coming properly, is my voice, my posture, my content, anything that is not right in this video, what do I need to focus and where? I need to focus on each input, which can be the camera, the laptop, the person who is editing, or maybe the mic. Those inputs, one of the inputs I need to see how can I control them to get the best output, which is the final recorded video. And then it goes through a process. Maybe the problem can be in the process. So when I talk about y equal to fx, that actually is the main thing that we focus in the entire process improvement methodology. Once we have an input, we have a process, and we have an output. Output, which is the overall result of the process where multiple inputs are going. So it is said in the world of Six Sigma methodology that we need to monitor the y and control the x. So I cannot control the y, which is my output, while monitoring my x. What I'm trying to say here is, in order to improve the quality of a process or a product, you do not improve that particular outcome itself. You cannot improve it. You cannot change anything in it. You have to look at the corresponding inputs and the process that gives you the output. So a lot of time, people who are not aware of any Six Sigma methodology or any problem solving methodology, they do a cardinal mistake, and this cardinal mistake which they commit is to try to control the output, to control the final outcome or the behavior. Now what happens in the corporate world when we talk about developing a problem solving mindset? People who are not aware of this Lean Six Sigma mindset or Lean Six Sigma methodology, they try to control the behavior or the mindset of the individual that can help us to get the best output. Now you don't control the output, as we just discussed. We don't control it. You control the inputs here. Similarly, in this process of y equal to fx, we try to identify what are the key behaviors that drive an output. What are the key inputs that are required for a certain product quality or a process quality. So we focus on y is equal to fx, and this is what we build when we start a process improvement journey. We try to understand the key inputs, then we find what are the key outputs, we look at the process in it, and we try to work on it. So that's how this y equal to fx we need to understand in each process. While we work on any process, we need to first build a y equal to fx in our mind, and then we go accordingly. Now all the things that we have discussed so far in all the sessions, including this session, We talked about history of Lean Six Sigma. We talked about Six Sigma methodology. We talked about the framework. We talked about the levels of quality. We talked so much about Lean Six Sigma as a methodology. We said it's a culture, it's a philosophy, it's a great problem-solving technique, discipline, structure, and so much so on. But we have not discussed yet how someone achieves or how someone gets trained on this Six Sigma methodology, how someone gets trained on the DMAC methodology. And I used some of the words when I was talking about the second session about the GE and Toyota, where I talked about that Jack Welch, the CEO of GE, trained the employees in green belt, black belt, yellow belt. So all different belts I was talking about. So that means that if you want to be a Six Sigma professional, you have to go through a training. But here in our case, we don't have just one set of training. We have different set of training that you need to understand different concept of Lean Six Sigma concept. So if you look into these slides, you see different bars. You see the first one start with the yellow belt. The yellow belt is the most basic. In fact, this training can be considered equivalent to a yellow belt training program. Yellow belt training program gives you an overview of the Six Sigma structured methodology, the DMAC methodology. Here we talk about the most basic, common, easy, widely used Lean Six Sigma concepts that you can understand and you can start using in your day-to-day operations. But remember one thing, a yellow belt is only a beginner's level, is only a foundation level training that will only help you to understand your own process, which is not very complex. But when you want to improve a process which is very complex in nature, which may be spread across various processes, which means that your process may have dependency on other functions, other processes, other stakeholders, geography wise it has spread a lot. So this is a little complex process. Now the training that you received in yellow belt may not be enough. In order to improve a larger process or a bigger process, you need to get more training. So that's where you get trained, which is a green belt level of training. Then you are able to handle larger projects. But what if you are handling a project which is spread across the organization, which is organization wide project? Then green belt level of training will not be enough, because now organization wide projects are very complex in nature. So for that you might need a black belt level of training. So black belt level of training also focuses heavily on the stakeholder management, communication, stress management, conflicts, how to deal with conflicts, how do you deal with the management. So you also learn the management side apart from the problem solving side. So a great deal is spent on the leadership training apart from the technical side of the Lean Six Sigma. That's the black belt training. And then comes the master black belt training. When as a master black belt, you are supposed to train and mentor the black belt. As a master black belt, you have to create a culture of Lean Six Sigma in the organization. So you have to govern the entire Lean Six Sigma deployment program in the organization. That's where master black belt come into the play. Master black belt attend a master black belt training, and a large and a big focus is on the leadership training, and a great deal of focus on the advanced Six Sigma methods and tools. So these are the 4 typical levels in a Lean Six Sigma training curriculum. Apart from these 4, there is also a training program which is for the organization senior leadership, which is called the Champions Training. So Champions Training is basically for the functional owners, business heads who want to deploy Six Sigma in their verticals, in their business. Though we do not give them a great deal of technical training, we talked about the leadership training in terms of Six Sigma. What is required for a leader to create a culture of Lean Six Sigma in the organization? The understanding of business philosophy from their point of view, because they don't need to necessarily understand Six Sigma tool, because they won't be doing it on their own. Somebody else will be doing it, but they need to understand what it does and how it happens. So this is called a champions training, and champions are those people who sometimes also called sponsors. So both are interchangeable words, sponsor and champion, where they help to provide resource, budgets, or remove any constraints in a project when somebody is leading a project. So these are typical 4 levels, and champion is within the organizations most of the time, sometimes the sponsor of a particular project. So we have a yellow belt, then you progress to the green belt, then black belt and master black belt. And just like a DMAC framework, you cannot skip anything. A lot of time you begin with a yellow belt training program, but a lot of time you begin with a green belt training program also. So a lot of organizations today, they directly start with the green belt training program, and then you progress towards black belt, and then you progress towards master black belt. So your journey from starting a green belt level to a master black belt level can be easily 5 to 7 years, and you need to be a credible green belt, black belt and master black belt by working on various projects over a good 4 to 5 or 5 to 7 years of time. So this is about the different roles and responsibility in a typical setup, or I would say typical career path of a Six Sigma professional. So in the current slide you will see the same levels, the yellow belt, green belt, black belt, master black belt, but it also tells you who does what. And this is what we just explained in our previous slide, but it also tells you for a master black belt what should be the span of control, like how many black belts typically a master black belt should have, or for an organization of 10,000 how many black belts we should have. So typically it gives you that level of understanding. So this is about the Six Sigma roles. Thank you everyone. This is Shivendra Sharma.